So the CFP rankings last week included one Group of 5 team, Tulane at number 24. They then went on the road, knocked off Temple, no problem. The Owls did not hoot past them. Did that work? Did that land? I don't know. I'm sticking with it. I'm going to leave that in the show. I didn't have to, but I'm going to. So they survive. But if you notice the AP rankings, which don't get a lot of attention this time of year because, well, they don't matter compared to the playoff rankings. This is so classic AP Top 25. They have James Madison at 20, North Texas at 21. There's Eric Morris and Drew Mestemaker. Told you they'd be coming up again on the show. James Madison, 20. North Texas, 21. Tulane at 22. That's the AP. You know what the AP is infatuated with? And when I say this, it's going to sound like I have a certain perception based on last year's playoff teams and those that got in and those that were left out and all that sort of stuff. But the AP loves record. Boy, they love good records. I bet how many AP voters do you think know what James Madison's schedule is or know what North Texas's schedule is? If you want to rank James Madison and North Texas and Tulane, there's an argument for that to happen. James Madison being above North Texas and Tulane when they play in a significantly worse conference is completely absurd. Tulane put 3 Power 4 teams on their schedule. James Madison beat 1 and lost, and they're not a top 25 team. Tulane's loss to a Power 4 team is currently ranked inside the top 10 in the college football playoff rankings. It's Ole Miss. So North Texas's loss earlier this year did not come to a Power 4 team. They don't have a Power 4 win, but they at least play in the American. That's a better conference. So that's the first thing that's illogical. The second thing is that, do you think any of the AP voters that put them there have sat down, start to finish, or even in the background for 2 quarters, watched a Tulane, James Madison, or North Texas game? I have, of course, because I'm a sicko for this sort of stuff, and I take that show title that you can see in the bottom right corner on YouTube, Locked On College Football, very seriously. I watch all sorts of football that most people wonder, why in the world are you watching that? Football knowledge, duh. So anyway, I have had Tulane as the best Group of 5 resume so far. And I hope they meet North Texas in the American Championship game, because I think that's the combination of the 2 best and most deserving teams in that conference, which for this year is the best Group of 5 league in the country. So if those 2 meet, winner goes to the playoff. I will not argue the point. I will absolutely look at North Texas and say, all right, I had Tulane as my highest ranked G5, and they beat them straight up on a neutral field. Results have to matter. North Texas would be in that scenario, and they'd be there at 12-1 with an offense that can score as many points as, frankly, anyone that I have seen play football this year. I'm not so certain. All right, I'm not going to make that statement, have that particular debate. North Texas offense is really good, is the bottom line. Tulane's offense can be really good. Tulane's defense, not very good defending the pass. Let's get to that hypothetical when we get there, shall we? I don't see a path, unless somebody other than those 2 teams in the American, for James Madison to get in. Unless, let me offer this, and I'm curious to see, by the time some of you are listening to or watching this show, we're going to have college football playoff rankings, and we'll know if a second Group of 5 team has entered the chat. Because if they do, there is a real-world scenario. It's not likely, but it is entirely possible, as I talked about yesterday, where 2 Group of 5 teams are into the playoff, and the ACC doesn't get a team to go because they leave out Miami, which would be incredibly wrong. And if the ACC champion is Duke, I can almost assure you the committee will not put in a 5-loss Duke Blue Devil team. Now, that requires a very specific set of circumstances, but it's very possible. It's incredibly possible. Heck, I'm curious to see what they do with SMU. If the Mustangs go back to the ACC title game and they're in at 10-3, would they put them? They did last year, right? Clemson was a 10-3 team, got to go on the road and play Texas. It was a competitive game. I think that would be the case. But for the Group of 5, the path to getting 2 teams in the playoff, look, I'm putting it at less than 10%, but I can't in good faith put it at 0%. Still, though, The only team that truly controls its own path to getting there is Tulane. Everybody else needs help. But if they get that help is often given to those in college football who hold their own, as I always say. I want to close with thoughts on USC. They went up to Oregon and lost. USC struggled to run the ball. They struggled to stop Oregon running the ball despite the Ducks playing literally their 5th depth chart offensive tackle at one point in the game. So this season, once USC beats UCLA this week, which they absolutely will, they'll end the year at 9-3, which is exactly what I predicted them record-wise to be when the season kicked off. Before the season kicked off, I should say. I'm sure plenty of Trojan fans are disappointed that they weren't able to go up and beat Oregon, because that has become, especially as USC blew up the Pac-12 and then Oregon came along for the ride and they didn't want Oregon in the conference. Yeah, I'm sure that added some fuel to the fire and that went in a negative direction. It wasn't a celebratory burning of a couch emotionally for USC fans after the game on Saturday. USC has taken a significant step forward. They are recruiting the way that they are supposed to, and on the field this year, they are a better football team. Last year, I imagine for most Trojan fans, was pretty excruciating. They went on the road and lost to Maryland. They went on the road and lost to Minnesota. They went on the road and lost to Michigan on the last play. Well, they lost one of those games to Illinois this year, but the other 2 losses for USC, they just got outplayed because Lincoln Riley, after 2 years of being USC's head coach, has now begun the process of building a program that he should have done from the moment that he arrived. He didn't do that, but he's recognized his mistake, and now they've gone out and paid the NIL dollars required to get a guy like Jakeem Stewart, who I think is their best interior defensive lineman. Certainly he is one of them, playing a bunch as a true freshman. He's going to be an absolute monster. USC should have a defense loaded with those sorts of guys. Instead, a bunch of backup offensive linemen at Oregon ran for 179 yards with a great trio of running backs. So USC's progress this year has been absolutely tangible. I said going into the game, USC wins that one, they're going to be in the playoff. They should control their own fate. You go to Eugene and win. Okay, they didn't. In no way on my fan mood assessment. Look, it's bad vibes for USC because you're not going to the playoff. But overall on the year, it's a good vibe season. This is the sort of year that USC needed to have. If they win their bowl game, they'll have a 10-win campaign. Haven't done that since Lincoln Riley's first year. Progress, frankly, I think USC fans, at least the ones that I've interacted with, are pretty reasonable about this. Because I think they realize, you know what? It did need to kind of start over mid-Lincoln Riley's tenure. And Dan Tulane is a game changer as defensive coordinator, but there's still work to be done. There is still work to be done with that USC program. I don't think Lincoln Riley has it anywhere near what its peak is with him as the head coach. He stays there and keeps the high school recruiting efforts with Chad Bowden, their GM, for the next several cycles. And you can see a USC team that can go contend for a Big Ten championship with any team in the league. Oregon, USC, Michigan at its, Ohio State, Michigan at its peak, Penn State if they get back, depending on who they hire. They're capable of doing that. And the steps are being taken. And Saturday was a reminder. Not there yet. Are they getting there? Yes. They have taken a step forward, but it takes several steps. You have to stack, you have to build, and he's doing that. It just didn't come to fruition on Saturday in a perfect storm, which is kind of what you would have needed to beat Oregon, who's ahead of you in that front. But you know it was a measuring stick game, and you can come away going, okay, we're not there yet, but we're getting there. Shockingly, or perhaps not, because that was sarcastic, USC in a big game was outgained on the ground. They've gotten better this year. Steps. Progress. Moving forward. End of show. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.